Gravity is the force that attracts all of us to each other. Objects with greater mass have more gravity. Earth's gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. If I throw this book, then it has kinetic energy, which is the energy that an object has when it moves.
If a Westlaker is tossing his iPad to himself, then his iPad has motion. If an object has motion, it is changing its position over a certain amount of time. Potential energy is any energy stored in an object. For example, Rohan is standing on the chair, so he has gravitational potential energy. Speed is the distance an object moves over time. For example, if I walk 5 feet in the span of 1 second, I'm moving at about 5 feet a second. Since my binder is at rest, it wants to stay at rest unless acted by an outside force. If Rohan pushes my binder off, then it instantly goes into motion. Since it wants to stay in motion, it will keep moving until acted upon by an outside force such as the ground and mixed with gravity. That is Newton's first law. Alright, since Rohan threw his phone, force equals mass times acceleration to effect. Since Rohan's phone's mass is about 0.1 kilograms, and he threw it with a force of about 0.1 newtons, then the acceleration probably would have been about 1 meter per second squared.
Ian decides to walk down a street for no reason, and then he sees a newspaper and decides to run. That is acceleration, the change in velocity over time.
An unbalanced force is when there are two forces exerting on each other, and one force is greater, so there is a reaction. For example, when I push Rohan, he falls to the ground. When Rohan is leaning on the chair, he is exerting a force on the butt of the chair. A force is any push or pull on an object.
Ian is being a lazy Westlaker and decides to drag the chair across the floor. The floor is exerting a force called friction on the chair.
When me and Rohan are both exerting a force on each other, but neither of us are moving, the forces are balanced, or they're equal, so nothing really happens. Velocity is an object's speed and direction in relation to a reference point. For example, Rohan is moving at a speed of about 1 mile an hour around the stool. Alright, if Rohan pulls the bowstring back, then the bowstring is going to push against his hand with an equal and opposite force. This is a perfect example of Newton's third law.
If you had the chance to change your fate, would you?